DRutter here, 24th of May 2024, and this is a video about stepping back from my role on YouTube and other platforms that I upload to and I have been active on since the mid-2000s. About 2006 is when I first got started on YouTube, and we called it waking up. I think you know what I mean by that, and just sort of making changes in life and changing how we think about things and sort of re-understanding everything about life up until that point. And as you know, a lot of people still have not gone through that process, but a lot more people have, and it has become something that is sort of snowballing now with the pandemic and all these things that have happened. A lot more people are waking up, and once you wake up, you don't go back to sleep. I'm using these asleep and wake up terms. This is old terminology we've been using for 15-20 years. There's other ways to talk about it. It's not the best way, but you know what I'm talking about. You know what I mean. So this video is talking about me stepping back. It will be kind of all over there. I haven't scripted it or anything, haven't planned it out. I've been thinking about doing this video for a very long time, but it is hard to do. So I've eventually just decided I'm just going to turn on the camera and just start talking, and that's going to be the video. And it's not going to be perfect, but that's just going to have to be how it is, because as the video title mentions, I am not well. I have been sick and getting sicker for a long time, and it's getting harder and harder for me to actually do a video. I'm doing this now because I actually feel reasonably well. I have multiple different physical issues that sort of come and go throughout the hours and the days, and sometimes they all line up and they're all on at one time, and sometimes they all line up and they're all gone at one time. And this happens to be one moment where I'm not having major nerve or major heart problems, so I can sit and record a video, get this message out. So this will be kind of a two-part thing. This first video I'm going to talk about health, and it's not interesting to a lot of people, and that's fine. You're not required to watch it. It's actually more just for the record. I know almost no one will see this, no one will hear this. It's just almost being put out just so that I can say that it was done. And so I can refer back to it later and say, this is where I, not retired, but whatever you want to call it, like stepping back. I've yet to exactly figure out what's changing, but something is definitely changing. Something has to change because I can't do it anymore. And in fact, this is kind of just making it official, really. It's kind of already happened, so I'm just sort of making it official at this point because I have not been able to be as active as I want to be and as I should be for a long time. So this is kind of just making it official and putting it on the record. And I will do a second video based on the censorship issue that I have been plagued, I guess you could say, with, or increasingly targeted by since about 2012. And it has just gotten worse and worse to the point where that's not even the right word anymore. It's like a targeting, and it's not even just online. It's actually, people are now getting censored and targeted for their views and for their activism and stuff in real life. It's not just censorship online. You actually get real life consequences, and I will talk about that later. But this first video will be sort of about the medical side, like why I have to do this, stepping back from a medical standpoint. That's sort of one of the main two reasons, is the medical issues and the censorship, both of which were not the case when I started this, and are increasingly the case, and now to the point where both are debilitating and I cannot continue. So I want to just sort of, at one point, I'm not sure, I'm going to put up a timeline on the screen, a sort of a rough, I do things in graphs, that's just how I've always been. I like to visualize things that way, so I'll put up a graph, sort of a timeline of my health, from the bottom, it's sort of baseline, totally healthy, fully healthy, which I was all my life. For my first 30 years, I had essentially no no noticeable health issues, maybe a couple things here and there like getting sick or whatever, but no major issues. I was lucky, and I made it 30 years with no problems. But from my 30s, I basically started to get sick, and so I will go over that now here in the video. Starting at 2006, which, as I mentioned before, is when I got started. I was working as a nurse. I was working at a psychiatric unit, an acute care ward at a hospital, essentially for the government. Healthcare is provincial government here in BC, so I was working as a nurse and a registered psychiatric nurse, and I did that for, it was a 10-year career altogether. In 2006, I was getting toward the end of that 10 years, and didn't know it at the time. I thought I was going to work as a nurse forever. It was, it was paying the bills for sure, and I didn't have much of a problem with what I was doing at the time. I hadn't really thought about it. I was 30 years old at the time, so just had sort of been sheltered all my life and through my 20s, and then I found myself, as I was 30 years old, I was working as a nurse, and all of a sudden I started to think a little bit more. And I had a couple of children a few years before that, and that sort of made me start thinking about the world, and 9/11 had happened in 2001, and I started noticing some things about that, and I started my YouTube channel, and my first upload was a Ron Paul support video in 2006. So yes, that is 18 years ago. So when I started on YouTube, it was not owned by Alphabet or Google then. It was its own private website, and that's how I signed up, and that's the agreement I made with YouTube back in the day, and there was absolutely no censorship at the time. The idea of censorship was silly. Everything you put on YouTube was always going to be there, and would not be, no algorithms would manipulate it. It was all grassroots, but things went viral if they were popular, and all content was allowed. Eventually there was some content that was only, if you had to log in and say you were 18 plus to watch it or whatever, but other than that, everything was available. And so there was no censorship, and my health was still great. So at about that time, 2006, is when the avian flu scare came. And I was working, of course, as a nurse in healthcare, so they came around, and it was just like the COVID thing. They coerced nurses and staff to take the experimental avian flu shot. And I held out. I wasn't awake. I wasn't aware that there was anything wrong with the pharmaceutical industry at all. I had no clue of any of that, but I was the kind of person that didn't take any medications unless I needed them. So I said, well, what do I need this for? And they said, in case you get sick. And I said, well, I just won't get sick, because I never get sick. I just don't get sick. I won't get the flu. Don't worry about it. And they said, well, you're going to maybe be able to pass it on or something. Even if you don't get sick, maybe you'll just get infected and pass it on to someone else, and they'll get sick. So you can't work unless you take this shot. And so I did. I've done a video about that. I'll link it below. I took that shot. Looking back, that I believe may have been the start of my health problems, because I was very sick for 2 weeks after the shot. I basically had the flu, or worse than the flu. It was horrible. I recovered from that and felt that I had made a full recovery, and I felt fine. I went back to work and everything was okay. So that was in 2006. And then 2007 and 8 were great health. And I was waking up, continuing to wake up, learn about the world, make major changes in life. I changed everything about my life once I realized what really was going on in the world, what really had been going on all my life and before I was born. And that history had been a lie, almost. All of it was falsified or meddled with, and we'd been manipulated. And so that's basically what waking up is understanding that. And so at the time, it was a bit more of a lonely situation. We didn't have a lot of support for it, and there was less of us around. And so we found each other on YouTube, because there was no censorship. There was nothing. It wasn't even a corporate. Didn't have a corporate feel at all. It was very grassroots, and it felt great. We made a community there, and I really started uploading in 2009. At the very start of 2009 is when I started full-time content creation. Silver, gold, precious metals, the difference between money and currency, all of these things. Non-stop talking about that. Every day I would upload almost, and censorship was non-existent. I would upload pictures of me holding coins, and I could get 3,000, 5,000 views on that. Nowadays, you have to do a heck of a lot more than that just to get 150 views. You watch. Look at the view counter on this. How many views does this have? Probably not very many. Anyhow, full-time content creation in 2009, I went gusto. And I got out of nursing, and because I realized they were going to give me the swine flu shot, for one thing. That was when the swine flu came around, and I said, no, I'm not taking another one of those unnecessary vaccines. So I did the COVID nurse thing that, how they all quit in 2021 when the mandates came around telling them they had to take this COVID shot, otherwise they were going to get, penalized and fired and all that kind of stuff. I did it in 2009. There was no one else doing it then, and it was over the swine flu shot. But I also left because nursing was associated in my head with my ex, who was a nurse, and we'd sort of gone through nursing about the same time and worked as nurses together when we were young newlyweds and such. And so it felt, because I had a divorce and it just didn't feel right anymore. And also, when I was waking up, I started realizing, wait, I'm forcing medications on people, some of them dangerous. And sometimes, in some cases, they don't even want these medications. And I'm pushing these into people, basically, either through coercion or even sometimes outright holding people down and injecting them with this stuff. When you work in psych, that has to happen sometimes. And so I started to get bothered by that, and taking away people's freedom, when I can't be a freedom fighter if I'm actually getting paid to take away people's freedom. So I got out of nursing, and I didn't have to take the swine flu shot because I got out before they pushed it on everybody. And on YouTube it was great. We made connections. It was easy to go viral. You could do a how-to video on how to clean silver coins or something and get 500,000 views. And I did that. And I would slip little bits of knowledge into those videos, like silver and gold are real money and nothing else. Stuff like that. But we had a community YouTube was much better. There was no censorship, but it also had more features. You could do video responses to videos. So it was like you do a video, someone responds to that with their video, and then multiple people respond to that, and it just was great. It created all kinds of discussion, and we started figuring things out, and started advancing knowledge and getting, stronger, and really, it wasn't just waking up. We were increasing our knowledge about different things and really strengthening as a community, and it really felt special. It really felt like something like nothing had before. And I'd been online since the beginning of the internet in the early mid-90s, I guess, and seen almost everything on the internet. And this was different. This was great. This was powerful. And of course, this was in the early days of Google taking it over and starting to remove features and dumb it down and turn it more into just a smartphone app that is just for booty shaking videos and junk. But anyway, back then it was great in 2009. 2010 to 12 is sort of, I'll put that all together. I was very active and very effective. It was the heyday, I guess, of my channel. I was gaining thousands of subscribers. I was getting well known. I was known throughout the precious metals community for sure, but also throughout the financial community. People were taking note. Mike Maloney, David Morgan, Max Kaiser, so on and so forth. I was becoming one of those sort of names, and I was talking to these people and throwing ideas back and forth with these people and being shared by these people. And so that was a good time for my channel for sure. Minimal censorship, or none maybe, sort of creeping on throughout that time, but not too strong. I was not talking about anything too controversial, so and the censorship hadn't gotten too bad in the first place, so I wasn't experiencing too much. And yeah, no health problems still. And then in 2012, you may recall, I did a call for support. You may remember the video had a picture of a hat, or of a hat out, kind of like donations. And people were incensed. They were livid. I was lambasted in that comment section. And I wish I hadn't deleted all the negative comments, because I'd like to go back and actually remember how horrible that was and just show you how horrible it was. But at the time I was, I guess, sensitive to it, and I just deleted anything that was I saw as like whatever, incorrect or aggressive or anything. But yeah, people really did not like the idea that content creation could possibly be someone's job, and that they could get not make a profit off it. I wasn't trying to make a profit, but I was saying maybe I could get my costs covered. Because there are minimal costs in order to do this, and especially full time and put out content, and there are risks involved, and there are programs that need to be rented or purchased, and if I want to do any kind of special activity for the channel, if I need any kind of a budget, it's got to come from somewhere. So I said, if you wanted to put money into it, if you want to support, then this channel can be bigger and better than it is now. And I felt vulnerable. I felt like things coming in the future were not good, especially for freedom fighters and for activists and people talking about real money, going up against the pharmaceutical industry, going up against the big banks. I thought, this is going to take a community. I need support. I need people behind me. And people were not happy about that. And so I pulled back from that. I did not pursue that idea. Although it was only about a year later that Patreon came out and got very popular, and the idea that creating content was valuable and that you can get paid for that all of a sudden became viral and became completely accepted. So within 1 year, I went from hated for making the suggestion to it being completely universally accepted and known that content is valuable. And so I was early, and I missed out on that, and never ended up getting any way to sort of support. I know if you watch any channel for many years now, if you watch any channel on YouTube, even channels in this type of community, people will say, I can't continue this unless you support me. So here's my links and all this kind of stuff. Check my social medias and go to my Patreons and all these different donation websites and send me my super chat money and all that kind of stuff. Everyone needs money all the time to make content. And that's just accepted. But I was hated, and I lost about half my subscribers, half my viewers all at once there, because the idea of any kind of profit in especially the alternative community on YouTube was, man, you were just destroyed if you brought that up. But anyway, my notes flipped over. We got here 2013, and to 2015 was sort of a period. And I continued to be well known and influential. I had a business. I had a bullion business. It was starting to wind down a little bit at that point, but I was still doing it full time. I had my bullion business. I also had a collectible card business that I had for 15 years or so at that point, almost 10, 15 years. And so that's my thing. I do a private business online. I did eBay at first, and I had my own website. Those are all gone now. And it did okay. CanadianSilverBullion.com was the name of it. It was okay. It didn't make any profit, but I did get a lot of bullion out to people, and it covered its own expenses. So that was, I guess, a success in a way. And I was acknowledged by people like Mike Maloney. He invited me to dinner when he was in Vancouver. Unfortunately, I could not afford to go. That's pretty embarrassing, but it's true. So I was making content. I was well known, and but I did not really have support, financial support of any kind. And my businesses were sort of winding down over time, and the shadow banning got really, really bad. really bad. I went on the record about it. I think it was early 2013. I went and I said, there's something going on. We didn't have a name for it back then. I said, but there's something happening, and it's where channels can get, I don't know how to describe it, but they get depowered. They can't go viral anymore. Things aren't natural anymore. They don't get the same views. They don't get the same amount of people watching. They don't get the same number of new subscribers. Things just don't, the same amount of content, the same good content, and people are still interested in this content, and it's just not able to break free of some kind of censorship, and it's some kind of new censorship, and I think it's targeted censorship against certain people and certain channels, as that's what I said. So it took a long time, but now it was about a year ago that Elon Musk came out and introduced the world to the idea of shadow banning, and that it is real, and that it has been happening for a long time, up until going back as far as 2012, 2010 even maybe. So that was when I was noticing it first on YouTube, and that's actually, now we know, is when it was happening. But of course, if you talked about it back then, you were either ironically censored for saying it, or you were ridiculed by people. It was absolutely true. And that, unfortunately, is also when I started to have minor health issues for the first time. And that's also when I went into cannabis activism, and I had even announced on the channel, I said I'm going to be doing more cannabis activism because Canada's going into this thing called legalization, and it's going to be fake. It's going to be a corporate monopoly. Trudeau's coming in on behalf of the globalists, and this is his first job, is to do fake legalization. So we had horrible cannabis prohibition that that was putting people in jail, clogging up the courts, it was ruining Canada. And people were saying, we're spending billions on this, and it's not getting us anywhere. We've got to stop this prohibition. So what did we get? Legalization. They didn't end prohibition. They continued it. They just called it something else, legalization. All we needed was an end of prohibition, which is also something called decriminalization. We didn't get that. We got legalization. And they exported that model to the rest of the world. I did a documentary called Legalization is a Lie. That was horribly censored as well. And Big Pharma was not happy. But my wife and I did a lot of offline activism as well, and got involved locally in Vancouver, which was basically the hub of legalization in Canada, which was the model for the world. So it was very important to Big Pharma that they crush that, and they did. And I documented that as it happened. I won't go any further into it here, but in 2016 is at the beginning of 2016, or toward the middle, is when my nerves just started to fall apart, and it was my first serious health problem of my entire life. And it came out of the blue, it came out of nowhere. I suddenly was in horrible pain, not everywhere all the time, but everywhere at some point. It rotates, it moves, and there's no rhyme or reason for it. It can be deep, aching, stabbing, or tender pain. It can be in the joints, muscles, nerves, skin. Even my organs sometimes have pain. Legs, feet, arms, groin, chest, back, neck, jaw, etc. Like almost everywhere. And I also started getting fasciculations. That's unwanted, uncontrolled muscle twitches 24/7 in all my motor muscles. And that continues to today. I did a video or two about it, showing that and talking about it. Blurry, double vision. It's gotten a lot worse recently. My vision is terrible. I have glare and dim vision, and it feels like, when you wake up and you have something clouding your eyes, sleepies or whatever, and you got to rub your eyes a few times. Sometimes even you got to wash your face, and then I can see again. It's like that forever. I can't stop that from happening. It's horrible. I'm having trouble seeing my children's faces. I can't swat mosquitoes. I can hear them, but I can't get them. If I have a sliver from working in the garden or something, I can't get it out of my skin. I can't read bottles, prescriptions. I can't read ingredients. I can't read books. So been to an ophthalmologist who found nothing physically wrong with the eye, so I'm thinking it is the nerve to the eye. And yeah, the chronic pain also sounds like nerves. The motor muscle twitching, that also sounds like nerves, right? That's kind of a theme here, but I have yet to get a diagnosis for what this is. I had horrible fatigue at first. In 2016, my head was on the desk, like on my table in front of me. I literally couldn't lift it off half the time. I could barely get from the bed to the desk and then to eat and then back to bed again. And that's about all I could do for many months. And my wife was running ragged, herself disabled, going to the store almost every day to buy food and haul it back and feed me 5 huge meals a day. Something's wrong when you can eat 5 meals a day, and I was dropping weight. I was down to 140 pounds or less. So there was something wrong. And I went to the ER many times. They couldn't find out what was wrong. They sent me to a neurologist for nerves. He was an idiot. He asked me if I have any anxiety, and I said, well, I'm pretty stressed out about all these symptoms. And he said, aha, it's the anxiety that's causing all the symptoms. And I said, no. The anxiety is being caused by the symptoms. I just told you that. Nope, too late. That was his diagnosis. And so I've had trouble getting any attention for the nerve issue since then, because everybody asks, well, have you seen a neurologist? And I say, well, yeah. What did he say? He said he said it's anxiety. Oh, okay, well, there we go. Everybody goes off of what he said, and what he said was completely wrong. So that's the healthcare system. They don't want to find things that are wrong unless that's something that's easily treated with something that makes them money on an ongoing basis, is basically how it works. Like I said, I did 10 years in that industry. Yeah, tremors, jerks, cramps, and other unwanted movements in muscles or groups of muscles, like shrugs or lunges or different things that I don't want to happen. Like when you're falling asleep, when you're falling asleep, and just that moment before you fall asleep, whoa, you get that, whoa. It's like that. And it can be all the time. It can be worse at sometimes than others, but yeah. Restless legs, the urgency to move, especially when trying to be still, and worse at night. That's kind of in the background now, but I've had that for years. Mental fog, sort of a decreased memory, decreased concentration, decreased speed of thinking, really gets in the way. Yeah, I won't go too much into there's like urinary issues, unexplained sensations like feeling cold or wet or tingling when it's not. Like my foot was feeling cold and wet for a long time. Tingling in the fingers and toes and stuff, feeling of bugs crawling in the skin or on the skin, numbness, horrible numbness. I've got patches of skin that have just gone completely numb. They have no normal sensation. I can scratch, I can poke them, nothing happens, and yet they'll sometimes feel itchy, and they'll feel so itchy, beyond itchy, and they can't be scratched. It's a horrible feeling. I wouldn't wish it on my worst enemy. And it's not controllable. Nothing can fix it. Nothing can stop it. You start thinking about ways to stop it. You start thinking, if I can find that nerve myself, I'll cut it out. That's what you start thinking, because it's that intense. So you'd think that there would be a diagnosis for this, but yeah, it has eluded me. Actually, finding a doctor has eluded me. There are no doctors in Canada taking new patients, so it's been really tough to even just see anyone. So that all happened in 2016, and some of that is resolved, but some of it is not. Like I said, no diagnosis. My family was alienated from me throughout this, more and more. Actually didn't believe me at various times. I think maybe in some instances they still don't. Not entirely sure, but that affected things. When your family even tells you that's not true. I can feel it. I can see it. It's happening to me. I'm twitching. I'm moving. It's not me. I'm not making it up. The nerves are messed up. And so not being believed added adds to stress, adds to the issues. And yeah, I felt very alienated and alone. It was terrible. It was a terrible time. I was trying to do videos, trying to continue my cannabis activism, my silver and gold, my Bitcoin analysis. It was tough. It was very tough. In 2017, I managed to go into partial remission. I won't go into full details here, but it was basically lifestyle changes plus Effexor. Effexor, a terrible, horrible, no good, very bad pharmaceutical drug, and I pushed it on people as a psych nurse for years. It's an antidepressant, but it also helps with chronic pain and nerve problems. And yeah, it did help a little bit, but it was terribly addictive. And I was on it for about a year and a half or 2 years, somewhere in there, and I had to wean myself off it and then go cold turkey the rest of the way. And it was terrible, terrible, terrible. Do not get on that unless it's going to save your life. It may have saved my life. It kind of took the edge off of the depression and anxiety, and it also took the edge off of that nerve pain. And then my lifestyle changes, diet changes, supplements, relaxation techniques, sleep changes, all that kind of stuff started to also have an effect. And I basically put whatever it was into partial remission in 2017, and I was able to resume some of my activism and my content creation at that time. So that felt good, and I felt like maybe I could make a full recovery. And then in 2020, I had moved from Vancouver, moved up to a small town because my wife met a Katie conceived, and we hadn't expected that, but we decided to get out of that full-time physical street activism we were doing and move back into the online activism and freedom fighting and having babies. So we had 2 of them. We were living up there in the Okanagan region of British Columbia, and COVID came along. We were in lockdown during having a newborn, and I was sick and still had no proper diagnosis. So we were in lockdowns and going to the anti-lockdown protests and doing anti-lockdown videos, doing videos about my experience in lockdown and my perspective about the illness and that was going around. And then, of course, there was the vax mandates and stuff. I did anti-vax mandate protests with the nurses that were at that time leaving their profession because of that jab that they were trying to push on them. And I was quite effective in reaching people online, and I convinced a lot of people to take a wait-and-see approach with the injection. And I think I may have saved a lot of people a lot of health problems and a lot of heartache and a lot of regret, because there are a lot of people who regret taking it and not a lot of people who regret not taking it. So that I did have an effect on that. I had some videos that managed to go partially viral, still very restrictive, but I'm on alternate platforms now, so they were doing well on those alternate platforms. And I did get a little bit of traction around the anti-lockdown, anti-vaxxes, anti-mandates, and just sort of pushing for liberty and freedom for people and medical autonomy. And I was almost removed from YouTube. Several times I was like within one misdemeanor of having my entire channel permanently deleted, all 1,000 videos gone. They did not like that content. It's all been vindicated. It's all been correct. It was all right. It was all correct, of course. But they say, "Oh, we didn't know it wasn't gonna stop transmission," and all this kind of stuff. Yeah, we did. Those of us with a brain knew, and we were warning people about that. And we got abandoned by our families, and we got canceled and censored, deleted. You may not have even heard about any of this stuff I'm talking about, because a lot of it was deleted right away, and a lot of it's been deleted since. Every week I have another video removed. They're constantly going through, looking for things, looking for ways to remove more videos, put them behind restriction walls, and so on. I've lost 300 of my 1,000 videos now. I have about 700 left out of the 1,000 that I've uploaded. And a lot of them are behind various restrictions that are still up. So yeah, that's what going into cannabis activism did. And then further on, I went into anti-vax mandate, anti-lockdown activism. And I was effective at both of those two things, and saw horrible, horrible increases in censorship on my, especially YouTube, after and during doing those things. So like I said, 2021, basically I was abandoned by my family completely, I guess over my stance, not taking the injection and speaking out against it. And yeah, I still have no diagnosis for the nerve issues. And in 2021, about halfway through, my heart basically started to fall apart. I don't know if it's anything related to the nerve issue or something new, but my 2021, I started having an irregular, rapid heartbeat for no apparent reason. It would come and go, periods, a few minutes to a few hours, and sometimes even days, like 1, 2, even 3 days in a row of this condition. And while it's happening, it's called arrhythmia, while the arrhythmia is happening, I cannot do anything except for wait for it to be over. It's basically you're gasping, you're holding your chest, your heart is pounding, squeezing so hard, and stopping. It's also stopping for several seconds in a row, and then then it starts again, pound, 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 boom, 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 in just absolutely ridiculous rhythm, nothing like it should be, and then it will go back to normal again minutes or hours later. And when it's normal, I feel fine. I can handle the nerve issues. I've been dealing with that since 2016. It's horrible, but I've got it in partial remission, and whatever it is, I'm managing it. But the heart thing, I cannot do it. I can't. It is debilitating, to say the least. It's just terrible. I can't tell you how important it is to have your heart beating properly. So if you've ever taken your heart for granted, please stop. Please take your heart and give it some love. Appreciate it, and learn how you can keep it in good condition for the rest of your life, because if you don't, that is the end of your life. You need that heart. You need that heart to beat properly. And mine has not been, and it's been hell. It has just destroyed my life. I got a disabled wife, I got 2 little kids, and I have a nerve issue, like something like MS, right? Okay, that's one thing. But to have arrhythmia and heart failure on top of that, yes, I have heart failure. My heart has failed. It is dying. It is failing, and I'm dying. So something needs to be done for this, and so I've been getting as much help as I can. There are no doctors. There's no doctors taking new patients. So emergency was the only way to get help. So I went to emergency. They took it very seriously. I've had 3 visits, not in the past couple of months, thankfully, but 3 visits so far in 2024 to the hospital. One of the times I had to be defibrillated. I had to be shocked back, and that was okay, I'm not even going to go into that here, but if you've ever had defibrillation into your heart, you do go flying off the chair, flying off the gurney that you're on, the stretcher, just like in ER shows. Anyway, it's just not working properly, and they don't know why. And so I got the diagnosis in 2023 after I moved further from the Okanagan. Now I live up in northwestern British Columbia, up in a small town, so a lot less medical resources up here, but there was nowhere else to live in Canada thanks to Trudeau's immigration policies. And so literally nowhere, and I had to move way up north. And so I have somewhere for my family to live, but it's very hard for me to get any medical care or diagnosis here. Thankfully, I have met a doctor, not a general doctor, but a specialist through the ER visits that I went to, that is seeing me and is trying to get me some help for this heart problem. So I'm on a wait list for surgery. That surgery will be the end of the summer. So I'm waiting a few more months, and it has been almost 3 years now since this heart thing came up. And like I said, it's debilitating in general. You only get about half your day, and you don't know which hours that will be when this is happening. And some days none. Some days it can go all day and I can just be basically almost doing nothing. I can help a little bit with making meals and eating, and a little bit with the kids and stuff like that. But I want to be active. I want to be back to who I am supposed to be. I want to be doing what I'm supposed to be doing, and I don't know if that's going to be the case. But there's a surgery coming up. The surgery has about a 75% chance of correcting, at least for some time. It doesn't always work forever, but it will correct the arrhythmia. That is the irregular and fast heartbeat. They basically go in and they burn nodes, electrical nodes within the heart, so that the heart beats in a different pattern. And in about 75% of the time, that actually fixes the arrhythmia, or significantly fixes it, so you don't have to be on as much medication. I'm on a medication for that, which doesn't really work, but it kind of works, so I got to take it. And it has horrible, horrible side effects, but like I said, it kind of works, so I got to take it because the heart problem itself is just absolutely debilitating. It's not just debilitating, it's also risky. The more arrhythmia you have, the greater your chances of dying, because arrhythmia causes blood clots, and those blood clots go into your body, move around, and then they sometimes end up in your brain. So obviously trying to avoid major things like that and strokes, because that can kill you or make you a completely different person. So I'm trying to deal with these arrhythmias, and the surgery seems to be the only way that I have to do that. I don't know how else to fix it. I've tried almost everything. I've gone off of like I don't use caffeine, I don't use any kind of nicotine or tobacco, I don't use any kind of alcohol. I've tried going off of cannabis completely for months on end. All these things, I've gone off of everything, and tried various different dietary changes. I've asked many different doctors their opinions, and nutritionists and stuff. Nobody can suggest anything that I've not tried or that I'm not doing as best as I can. I'm fit, I'm not overweight, I stay active as much as I can. You can't do any activity when this happens, so I got to do as much as I can when the heart is pumping normally. And even then I have to kind of take it easy, otherwise I can kind of trigger the arrhythmia by doing certain things. But anyway, I hope I have explained that, at least if you're interested. Anyone who's interested and is listening to this now, at least you probably have a general idea of what's been happening. My nerves fell apart. I don't know why. They've gotten worse. I've tried to get treatment, tried to get diagnosis. It seems to be something like MS. I will be going for more testing, but not until after the heart surgery. This heart is the main thing now, because this is actually what can get you. And so I have about a 75% chance of it working, and they haven't said what the 25% chance leads to, but I'm not thinking it leads to very much that's very good, because basically means the one thing that was going to work for you did not. And so basically you have to be on that medication, which has horrible side effects, and your body gets tolerant to as well. So I'm not able to stay on this medication, even though it has horrible side effects and doesn't even fix the problem very much in the first place. It's where its effectiveness is already wearing off. So it's the surgery or whatever. Without the surgery and without the medication, I'm basically in almost permanent arrhythmia. I have like multiple hours a day. I'm incapacitated, sometimes the entire day, totally incapacitated, suffering, and you can't you can't be in that state forever. It is torture. By every possible definition, it is torture. There's just no torturer. So you can't go forever in that state. So I'm not even going to try and put myself in that state, because I know no one can survive very long in that state of constant torture. It's been 3 years of on and off, and I am getting close to my wit's end. I'm ready for the surgery. I do not trust, as you can possibly tell by the rest of this monologue, I do not trust the medical healthcare system, especially now. But what am I going to do? I have to get better. I have to get back to my family. I have to be a father again and put in 100% again. I can't be doing that right now, and I want to be doing that. So how does that relate to this channel, what I've been doing? What is it that I've been doing? I don't even know. I've changed the world a couple of times in the right direction. I know that. And I don't take full credit for that either, because there was other people helping me, and I was working with my wife the entire time, and she has been there with me. So we changed the world twice in the right direction. And I think we got noticed for doing that. And we've been censored for that. And unfortunately, at the exact same time, my health has taken a mysterious and horrible turn for the worse and continues to get worse. And so I have to come out now and say, I'm done with whatever it is that I was trying to do. I don't even know what it is. I don't even have a name for it. But whatever that is that's been getting me in trouble and getting me censored, I'm done with that now. I'm sorry. But for my 2 young children, for myself and my wife, for us to have a chance, I have to stop what I've been doing. And the censorship, like I said, extends beyond the internet now. And I will go into that in the second half of this video, discussing why I am stepping back. So I'm not going to be off of YouTube, that's for sure. In fact, I'm trying to keep my content up as long as I can. I've been uploading this content for a reason. I've been trying to build a message, build a statement that I'm making over 1,000 videos that I have uploaded and piecing together my philosophy, my statement to the world. And when someone comes along and deletes a selective 200 or 300 of those videos, it changes the statement that you're making, because each of those videos brought a little piece of the puzzle into that statement. And if someone can go through, even using AI perhaps, and delete certain videos, it changes the overall statement. It's not what I actually wanted to say anymore, my channel. So I am trying to keep it up and trying to stay online. I'm trying to be here. I'm trying to be seen. But no one will see this. No one will see anything I upload. Maybe 100 or 200 people. And it's not for pride. I've said all along, I don't do this for numbers. But if the numbers aren't there, it shows that you're not getting anywhere. Who are you talking to? Where's your message being heard? Uploading just for the record is great, but I can upload for the record, then they can delete it. So it's not really on the record. So if it's not even seen, and it's not on the record anymore at all officially, then who am I talking to? What am I recording here? And I will still be uploading. In fact, maybe doing this and making this statement will allow me to get back into doing other kind of content and stuff again. That's my hope. So, in summary, it has been a gradual but steady increase in health problems for me since about 2012 or so. And the same thing with censorship. That's when it really started getting bad, was 2012. And it has gotten to the point now in the past year or so where I'm incapacitated. I'm not able to really do anything. I can't make content. I have a blog, and I'm not even allowed to link to it here, otherwise this will get censored even further. But I have a blog. I'll try and put it in the comments section, where I upload content almost every day. But videos I have not been able to really do in a long time. So we'll see if I can get back into that. But yeah, the health problems, the censorship have gotten so bad, I literally can't do it. And I have to make a statement saying I'm pulling back. I don't know, I'm not retiring. I don't know what to call it. I'm just not going to be active as a freedom fighter. I'm not going to be active as an activist anymore. I will have my opinions. I will make content. I will finish up old projects that still have yet to be completed. I'm not gone, but I do have to make this change, and I thank you for listening. Please, let's have a discussion in the comments section if anyone has heard this. That does help the algorithms, so do the upvotes, and I'll put anything I've forgotten in this, I'll put it in the description box. So if you pull that down, you can see anything I've forgotten, because this is long already and it probably doesn't even contain everything that it should have. But I have a second part coming on the censorship issue, so I will put some more stuff into that one there. And I appreciate everybody who has been with this channel for however long you've been with this channel. It's not easy to stay subscribed, it's not easy to follow the content, and it's not easy to be engaged in a channel like this, because we get really badly censored and really badly treated on YouTube. This is not the fun place to be. But thank you for your attention. I think this is an important message, and I think liberty is worth fighting for. So I'm not giving up on freedom. I'm not giving up on freedom of speech, but things have to change a little bit, at least for now. So thanks a lot for listening. I'll talk to you soon.